Well, Chevy has made claims of the 0 to 60 in quarter mile time of the new C8 ZR1. Let's discuss it and see if it's actually faster than what they're claiming and how it stacks up against the Dodge Demon 170. Although two different cars built for two different things, it's still a worthy comparison because it's American sports car versus American muscle. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so this is hot off the press news. 2025 Chevy Corvette ZR1 can go from 0 to 60 in a claimed 2.3 seconds. Now, one thing to consider when we're talking about these times overall is the tires being used. They're not the best tires, so to speak, for 0 to 60 in quarter mile times, because Chevy also claims that the quarter mile can be done in 9.6 seconds at 150 miles an hour. Now, the 150 mile an hour is huge. And it also just goes to show you that the car is spinning quite a bit, because as you spin more off the line, your miles per hour will be up when it comes time to crossing the finish line in the quarter mile. And if you're hooking up, your miles per hour will be lower because it's not taking you as much time to get from point A to point B because you're hooking up. Now, again, the tires aren't ideal. The Dodge Demons are. So the tires aren't ideal. But that trap speed is very, very, very close, if not close enough, to a high 8-second quarter mile potential. Now, here's the thing. They claim this with the ZTK Performance Pack. And one thing that we all know is aero slows down a vehicle at higher speeds. If you took off the big wing, you took off some of the other aero on the front, maybe the winglets or something, the car will accelerate better at a higher speed, which would then lower your quarter mile time. That's just is what it is. And let's not forget that throwing on maybe a different wheel and tire setup, a lighter wheel and tire setup, this car would accelerate better and do even quicker times without any type of tuning or changes done mechanically to the car. But it is quite interesting. A lot of people are thinking that this is a load of crap because the car makes 1,064 horsepower and a 9.6 at 150. Something's not adding up. The trap speed is ginormous, but the ET is terrible. And I think, again, it just comes down to spinning. So what's crazy is to have a 2.3 second 0 to 60 spinning is insanity. That's insanity. This car might be able to hit 2.1 to 2.0, maybe in ideal conditions, under 2 seconds, with, again, a drag racing wheel and tire setup. That's insane. So how does this stack up, though, overall? Just overall, the entire car. How does it stack up against the Demon 170? Well, let's look at the specs of the Chevy Corvette ZR1. So Chevy hasn't given us exact weight, but it's been estimated to have a curb weight of 3950 to 4050 pounds, and a dry weight of 3670, which doesn't mean anything, and 3758 for the convertible. That doesn't matter. Let's take the 3950 to 4050 pounds for the vehicle. So let's estimate that that's how heavy it is. Notice that the estimate was 2.5 initially before Chevy came out with their claims. We have the dimensions, the EPA fuel economy. That's funny. No one cares about that. But 1,064 horsepower, 828 pound-feet of torque, and an 8-speed twin-clutch automatic. So how does that stack up against the Demon 170 in its specs? As of now, the Demon 170 is no stranger to anyone. It has 1,025 horsepower, 945 pound-feet of torque, which does help it get out of the hole. It's got an 8-speed automatic HP 90. Axle ratio is 309. I don't think we know the Corvettes. I'm pretty sure it's pretty high up there, because the C8 Corvette's pretty high up there. So, with that in mind, the Corvette should still be able to 0-60 a lot better than what it is now, what it's claimed. And the thing is it's heavy too. So if we look at the weight, it still weighs 4,280 pounds. And the thing is when you talk about the quarter mile, and these, for those who know, obviously, but for those who don't, people aren't hitting the 8.9 second in the quarter mile. Like, they're not doing it. These have been out in the real world, in the wild, for a while now, and people not only aren't hitting the 8-second claims, they're averaging around 9.2 and higher. Anywhere between 9.2 and 9.4 is the average quarter mile for this car for people who know how to drive, who know how to race these vehicles, people who are qualified to try to get an 8.9 are averaging 9.2 to 9.4, and their miles per hour is nowhere close to 150. Nowhere close to 150. So when you compare these two vehicles, they're almost the same. One has better top end, and that would be the Corvette, and that's why it has a very good high 150 miles per hour. One has better low end because the Dodge Demon has more torque. It has the wheels and tire setup, kind of like what I was talking about with the Corvette and what it would need to be able to get out of the hole and do a better time without changing anything. But the Demon has a better wheel and tire setup to allow it to get out of the hole quickly and then get down the track quickly, which means the ETs are 9.2 to 9.4 for the average run of these vehicles. Now, of course, the 8.9 seconds, and it's been beaten to death, was probably in the most perfect settings in the perfect run in the history of history, right? So that's the thing. We're going to see people, and maybe even Chevy, will actually dial in the ZR1 and run a better time and video it. We might see that. If not, we're going to see people put a good wheel and tire setup on that thing, maybe take some air off, and it's going to run 9.2 at least. I think in a good solid run, the Corvette will be able to do a low 9-second pass, and some people eventually, with the perfect conditions, might be able to touch a high 8.9 second quarter mile. Don't be surprised. Now, these cars here aren't made for the quarter mile. It's made for the track. But let's be honest, we all like going fast in a straight line. That's just is what it is. You pull up to somebody on next to the highway, pull up to a Dodge Demon. Wouldn't you like to beat a Dodge Demon 170 on the highway if they pull up? Because real world is when that happens, or stoplight to stoplight, stuff like that. That's when you get to test out your vehicles against other people in the real world, other than going to the drag strip, that is. And then not everyone has access to a track, so sometimes the people who buy these vehicles probably won't ever take it to the track. So it's those real world conditions that actually matter more than anything else. That's granted if you even find a Demon 170 on the street, on the highway anyway. It's highly doubtful, but you never know. But I just wanted to compare these vehicles and kind of some of the numbers and give you guys an idea of what you can actually probably expect from the Corvette ZR1 and how it just compares to the Demon 170. In terms of ease, in terms of consistency, at a quarter mile track, the Dodge Demon will probably do better. The Dodge Demon will run that 9.2 5 times in a row. The ZR1, maybe not so much. Not so sure. It is a different setup. It is not set up for the drag strip. So there are definitely some pros and cons to both vehicles in terms of which one's faster, which one's, this and that. It just they're built differently, but at the same time they're extremely similar as well. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. So let me know what you guys think about Chevy's claims in the comment section down below. How fast do you think this car can be with just a simple wheel and tire setup and maybe some aero taken off? What are the times that you're predicting, both 0 to 60 and the quarter mile time? And do you think we'll see the Dodge Demon 170 beat this car more times than not on the drag strip? And then what about in the wild? Because people will be doing some Mexico runs. So I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Smash that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.